Hello.
Yeah, that's your name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass, and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, ooh, there's some deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the
275 pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
Yeah.
You know.
He's like,
he's up there slapping it, pissing all over everything.
Is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
I know.
How did you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize.
You know what pert near means.
If you know what pert near means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pert Near Outdoors. It's that time of year. It's that time of year where we all need to be thinking about, do we have everything we need to hit the woods? Chances are you don't, and if you think you do, you probably could use some more. So how about you go over to thehuntworks.com and check out all the incredible products these guys are carrying. This is a great family, local store. Dan and Steve Dunnigan, a couple hardworking sumbitches. They are now carrying archery equipment, everything from bows to arrows to broadheads, quivers, you name it. So on top of all the great tree stands and box blinds that they're carrying, they're now a full-on archery dealer, and really recommend that you check these guys out for your next big purchase. Head over to thehuntworks.com to see what they've got for sale, or if you're local in the Rochester area, head on over to their store in East Rochester on Dispatch Drive and check them out. They are on social media, The Huntworks, and also online, like I said. And if you purchase anything online, you can use promo code FEEDIN'Em to get 5% off. And that's FEED, FEEDIN, INUM, 5% off. Feed 'em.
Oh boy, smoked pork belly, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are live, episode 217, PA Turkey Camp with Chestnut Hill Whitetails and Sergei Swanson. We got that hard-working son of a biscuit. We got Steve to take a day off or a couple, and he's down here with us. So we got Steve Dunnigan sitting across from me. We're down here at camp, at Sergei's camp.
Hello, Bill.
Hi, Steve. We hunted today. We've never hunted together. We hunted together for the morning.
First.
I taught him what a gobbler turkey turd looks like. So
Right.
how to identify, right? The hens and
It curls and it's white.
that's right. Got it, and they're bigger around. So got Big Al here with me, and
How do?
Al's been busy like feeding us to the point of food coma
my.
for a couple
Yes.
days. Oh my God, Al, man, can you cook?
Oh, no, nobody's told him stop yet.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Albert's trying to stop it. He's
Right.
like,
Yeah, the only in shape
yeah,
guy here.
The only in shape guy here.
Yep.
He's like, Jesus, you guys are crazy. So we got Albert Mack here as well with us. So today, Albert and Big Al teamed up, and they went out and chased some gobblers. We dropped them off by the gravel pit, the area we call
did
the
you?
gravel
Okay.
pit, and they followed that path you said
Oh, wow.
and worked all them bases.
Okay.
Right down to here.
Wow.
And they hunted their way back here. So it was,
Yeah.
what was it, Albert? 3.7 miles, I think. So,
That sounds about right. Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh,
they
boy.
had a good hunt, except they didn't hear anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Saw a deer.
Okay, you guys saw deer then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big deer.
Good.
We didn't get into any leaks yet.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, which reminds me, that shovel's still in the back of. I didn't take that shovel
On
in
the back of the.
That's
We
okay.
took a shovel with us.
Oh,
I wanted to-
yeah, just in case. Yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Al and his leaks. He's got his
Yeah.
leaks.
Oh, we'll find some. They're still out there. You guys, I was surprised when you, like I had mentioned there, when you showed me the size.
Little
around,
bigger.
Yeah, around here, everybody likes the smaller ones. I guess they're like hotter or whatever.
Bill saw some today.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, where we were, there was some leaks there, and
but no shovel.
I usually don't use a shovel anyway. I just like pluck them out.
Yep.
I eat them right there. I don't bother bringing them back. But
Okay.
I thought about Al, but I'm like, if I'm seeing him, he's seeing him, so
Yep.
I'm not going to worry about Al. And I'm like, if Steve wanted him, he'd be plucking them. And then Steve's like, we pass leaks?
I don't know what to look for.
I did not know what to look for.
Yeah.
So tomorrow I will show you the leaks.
I was still wondering why you were smelling the gobbler poop.
Yeah. I'm like, hold my gun. I had to pick up a turd and look at it. I go, I don't have my glasses on. I'm like, yep, that's a turd.
Yeah.
You can tell what they're doing by how they smell.
Right.
I saw more turkey sign today than I've seen in the last several years of turkey hunting. I mean, just scratching, things tore up. We had our second set up there that we sat on the kind of that finger right before it breaks down.
Yeah.
And that was a really nice spot. We had the deeks out, and we sat up there, and I was calling, and I said to Steve, I'm like, hey, Steve, I go, watch over my shoulder, because I hear clucking.
Sure.
I had a slate calling. I was just working some clucks and purrs, and I heard them. And then later, we made a big loop. Like a mile later, we came up through the area, coincidentally, where I had heard that coming from, and there was all fresh scratchings in there. I mean, they hadn't been rained on. You could tell because we had rain yesterday.
Yep.
So I'm like, they were in there.
Yeah.
But they weren't, they were clucking because I was clucking, but we didn't. I heard one gobble this morning way on the backside.
Okay.
And sometimes it's nice to have more than one gobble so you can pinpoint them and tell exactly, where they are. But he never sounded off again. It was, probably 6:45 we heard him?
Yeah, it was early.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did pretty good. We were up on top of the hill, I think 5 of maybe. We dropped you guys off around 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
Wow.
It was around 5.
Yeah, it was dark enough where you
think-
had trouble walking off into the woods.
Yeah. When we sat down, I think I looked at my clock, it was 5:12.
When you had your first set?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. So we did pretty good getting up
Yeah.
there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For a bunch of old guys. We were up early and rolling.
Yeah. Now, did you do the 3 a.m. or what time?
3:30.
3:30. Yeah, that's still
I snoozed twice.
right.
Yeah, Albert was up at 3.
Okay.
First to bed, first up.
Yeah. Good.
So, yes. Well, and so, Sergei, thank you for having us down
Yeah.
and jumping on the podcast with us. Sergei brought us some spicy maple bourbon pickles. I've never seen anything like it. Did you have one, Steve?
I had one, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. They're maple
I
bourbon
would sit
with
there and
some,
eat the whole jar, so I
Right.
had one and then
No,
over
you
to
could
the
just
pork
keep
butt.
going on them.
Just switch
So-
to the pork butt.
Word has it, word on the street is that Sergei's wife gets those down to Walmart. So, guess where we're going for?
That's right.
Before we pull out of Bradford, PA tomorrow, we're going to Walmart.
Yeah.
Sergei says we just got to leave one jar.
Leave
for
one
Maria.
jar. Yep. One in reserve. Yep.
Put it on a layaway.
That's right. I'm sure they do it there, right?
Yeah. Walmart will do anything.
Yeah.
That's right. So it is May 14th. We come down yesterday midday. We got down here and got settled in and proceeded. Ale started cooking and we ate. We went on a marathon.
What we have? We had back straps. We did that in a Montreal steak seasoning.
That was an appetizer.
That was just an appetizer.
Yeah.
We each got one of those. And then we had some cube steaks. I had marinated in some Dale sauce.
They were
But before that, we had some pork belly that I smoked 3.5, 4 hours. 8 to 10 different spices in that. And
that was really good.
Oh,
then
so
we had
good.
some asparagus that I picked that morning, yesterday morning.
That was out of your garden, right?
Yeah, we did them on the grill, a little olive oil, salt and pepper, and then we had Albert's grandfather's secret recipe, coleslaw.
Yeah.
So,
Which was unbelievable.
and he had some.
That was good.
He put
It
some
was
leeks
good.
in that.
Oh, was
So,
there leeks in there?
leeks and pineapple are the secret ingredients.
I picked
We
up
can't
on that.
say anything more though on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's as far as you're going to go.
Yeah. That's it.
We can't tell you how much or
Right.
whatever.
Yep.
But just trust me, I picked up
Yep.
on the pineapples. I couldn't tell what that other thing
so
was. That's
good.
what it was.
That was
It
the
a leek.
leeks. Yep.
No, very good. Very well done, Albert, on that. Albert would be on board with us, but we only have 4 headsets. So.
Yeah.
And he says he doesn't want to.
Says he doesn't talk much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what's that?
I run silent and deep.
That's right, silent and deep. So we are in the most beautiful little lodge. And it's funny, and I don't want to take this the wrong way.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But when you pull up outside,
Sure.
you'd have no idea the inside.
Yep. Yep.
And the outside really matches kind of the patina, if you will, of the inside with the
Sure.
industrial. Right?
Yep. Yep.
So it blows my mind that you had like a mobile home here.
Yeah.
Basically, right? It was.
It's exactly what it was. Yeah.
And did you put a permanent foundation under it, or I mean, there's
nope. We took the old mobile home down. I think it was like I actually found the old data tag that was that was on the frame of the trailer. Yeah. And I think it was like a 1968 Starliner or something, right? But it was an old house trailer, and the footprint that's here is the exact same footprint, the kitchen area that we're sitting in now. So this was
an addition.
Well, this was here. It was really interesting. There was a piano hinge that ran. This is about 20 feet, from that wall to over here, and there was a full length piano hinge where the floor folded up against the side of the trailer when they hauled it down the road. Then when they got here, they would have unfolded that, and then I'm sure they probably had their walls prefabbed or whatever and set it up, but. When we let's say bought the property, and then I'm gonna say 3-4 years went by before we started putting this together. The trailer still had all of like the original siding that would have been on it, like the.
So the trailer was just sitting here.
Still sitting here, yes, yep. There was a great older couple that when we bought the property had lived here. And the type of people that you wish they could live to 120, right? But they passed away in their early 80s, like 6 months apart from one another. And they'd raised a pretty significant, I think they had like 5 kids throughout the course of their lifetime. And, raised them here and whatnot. But so when they lived out their life here, but the siding that was on the trailer was the original siding from it and everything, and they'd done a little bit with the roofing through the years, different style roofing to get them through. But they were just really neat people, and so when it kind of came time to say, okay, what are we going to do with it now? All of the utilities were here, the water well was here, township sewer was here, electric was here, and everything. So we said, well. We know we want to get into the outfitting. We know we need a cabin to get started, and let's do it here. So we literally ripped it all down to the frame, and then just build it back from there. So,
which is really cool that you like them. That you like. It's amazing how. I don't know. Mentally, you think, okay, I'm in a like originally it was a mobile home.
Yeah. Yep.
But it is like rock solid. You think you're on a brick and mortar foundation.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And it's not to mention the fact that it's now 2-story.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
Yeah. Because that's the big thing. Like we wanted space for, we're thinking most of our hunts or when people are coming in, they're anywhere from 4 to 6 groups of 4 to 6 guys or whatever, right? Come in. So, how do you, cram that many people into it was a 2-bedroom house trailer, and it's been amazing because I'm going to say that the groups that have come in so far, they say, jeepers, this is the nicest hunting camp I've stayed in. Like we're used to like 3 guys sleep in a bed and 2 guys get a couch and 1 guy sleeps on the floor or
mattress
whatever.
on the floor.
Yeah.
Up in the loft.
Exactly. Yeah. So we kind of wanted to say, all right, we've got, 6 beds or, whatever it is. So, yeah, so that's when we decided, hey, let's do the 12-foot walls so we can get, some
it works for me.
Yeah. And
Big Al stays on the first floor.
Yeah.
He's a first floor dweller.
Yeah, no ducking.
There you go. Yeah.
And it's it's a cathedral ceiling, if you will, on the second floor, and but there's 2 beds in each loft, and the ladders are like the most unique thing I've ever seen.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what they are is like roof trusses for a flat roof.
Yes. Yep.
And you would have to see them, but I mean, big, heavy wood. I mean, just
Metal,
beautiful.
yeah.
Obviously, you and your brother, you have a fabrication company, and obviously that's right up your alley. And you fabricated those, and it's like, man, you could drive a truck up that.
Oh
thing.
boy. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so the lofts are, I mean, there's adequate space up there. It's not like I've been in lofts where the beds are right on the floor and like you're crawling on your hands and knees and then rolling into the bed, in some hunting camps, which, hey, it gets the job done. It's great.
Yeah.
But this is really nice. You guys did it really, I mean, I'm blown away. I told Steve today we're hunting, I'm like, this camp is like unbelievable.
Well, thank you. And the cool thing, I'm going to say, you and Al had a chance. You guys had come down here before and kind of seen it when we were in sort of the last crunch of like getting ready.
Done. Yeah.
So we weren't finished up at that time. So even then, I'm going to say throughout the process of getting it done, there were times when people would come by, and I know when they left, they're like, "What are you doing?" You know what I mean? Like, what is this going to be? So.
But boy, it's nice.
Well,
it's
thank
nice.
you. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sure all of your guests probably, like us, I mean, it's like you could not ask for better accommodations, really. As far as like the quality of the accommodations.
Bath and a half.
Yeah.
Bath and a half, full kitchen.
Laundry,
outdoor grill,
deck,
fireplace, a lot of
smart oven. You could be up in your tree stand, turn the oven on, get your pot roast going.
Yeah, you can if you can figure it out. Go for it. But it does have that capability.
I was hooking up to the Wi-Fi. I said to Sergei, I'm
that's
like,
what the brochure said, right?
Yeah.
I'm like LG. I go, is your oven a hotspot? He's like, I don't know. I guess so.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, and you got Starlink here.
Yeah.
Al and I was just telling Al about Starlink when we were driving
on the way down.
But
seems pretty cool. Our electrician, he was let's say a younger guy, younger than I am, and I'm not a real tech savvy guy anyways. But I, asked him as we were getting close, just kind of said, hey, what, we want to have some kind of TV or internet capability for people when they come in and whatnot, and what should we do? And first answer, Starlink, and I'm like, okay, what's that mean? And he's like, well, you'll have Wi-Fi and the internet. And then he's like, people, when they come in, whether they have a Netflix program that they've purchased and they live in Ohio, it doesn't matter. They can come in here and sign up to their Netflix and enjoy Netflix while they're here for their stay or whatever.
What do you have? Is that Roku? I think you got Roku.
Not sure what
that is. Yeah, there's.
Roku.
I think they call that maybe a smart TV. Honestly,
I'm sure it is.
Roku.
Yeah.
Roku's platform.
So we've been watching Wicked Tuna and
there you go.
What's that other one where they chase alligators? What's that one you guys?
Swamp people.
Oh
or
yeah. Now, did one of you guys sign into like a Peacock or a thing?
I didn't. I have
Okay.
YouTube TV in my house, so I'll download the app, and it's probably in the app list. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Page through.
Okay, but those programs that you're watching are just on the free TV side of things or something.
Must be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I honestly haven't messed with
Roku
it that much.
Live TV.
Okay.
Which is like
on the station.
when you're at least for me anyway. I don't watch Swamp People with my wife. She's not particularly crazy about them guys from Louisiana slaughtering alligators.
Right.
But you come down here with the guys at camp, and there's guys they're passed out on the couch sleeping.
No way.
Yeah. And we could all just like binge on Swamp People. It's like,
what did she watch? Like General Hospital? Or
Yeah.
something? Or?
yeah, like HGTV. You know, what do they call it? Love it or list it. You know, I mean, so that's kind of what I'm into when I'm with her.
Yeah.
Beat Bobby Flay.
Yeah. Hey, I want her to be happy. I just want her to be happy. You
That
know what I mean?
makes sense. That makes sense.
So if she falls asleep, I'm like right over to Swamp People or they got a new logging one. I like watching the logging ones on the Weather channels.
On after Gold Rush.
Yeah.
The logging guys. Yeah.
So I like watching the log. They got helicopters and logging. Nice. I mean, she has zero interest in that, so which is fine. I don't blame her. You know, it's probably. But, so, anyways, it's cool being at camp. We got TV. Not that you got to have TV at camp, but I think the guys all enjoyed it today.
That's
Wi-Fi.
important.
Yeah.
What's that?
We got Wi-Fi hookup.
Yeah.
So we got all the everything.
Yeah. Everything you could need is I didn't even know they made these. We got a coffee maker. It's a regular coffee maker. And the Sidekick, I thought it was two machines, but it's all one machine, is a Keurig.
Yeah. I don't know.
What the heck?
I don't know where Maria found that thing.
Yeah.
But
we said kudos on the appliances.
Yeah, and then she always puts the the little cups over there.
Sure. Yeah, there's K-cup things
or
whatever
K-cups,
you
so
call
you're ready to go.
It's a Hamilton Beach. I have the exact same one.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're on Gen 2, our second one, because they last about 4 years.
Yeah, get them by the pickles.
But it's got a timer.
That's
on
right.
it, Bill. The middle button on the left is a timer, so you can put everything in, set it for 3 a.m. and you wake up and you got
So I got up this morning,
full pot of coffee,
and I'm making the coffee, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm all set. So I turn it on, and water starts to squirt out of the Keurig thing, and I'm making a pot, and I'm like, oh, the timeout. So I'm on a fixed income. That's way out of my league.
Hit the carafe
I had to hit the craft button.
There you go.
I'm like, this thing is like unbelievable. We don't know how to turn the stove on. That's all Wi-Fi.
Right.
You got to do that with your iPhone. So we, Al and I came down last year, as you said, when you were like, you weren't done here yet,
right.
but you were building this. And
final stages.
Yeah, it took us for a tour of the property, which it's amazing after one day with boots on the ground, you just get it more,
Sure.
Because it was like, I know Jackass, he had sent me a message or something, said, I know you were down there. And
yeah.
And what'd you think, And I'm like, my head's spinning. I mean, we went like, I don't know. What did we do, 25 miles
I
or
would
something?
think, yeah.
We were all over the place.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know. I don't.
Yeah.
But today, Steve and I, we dropped Al and Albert off at the gravel pit area, and then we went farther back to the gate.
Yeah.
And then we didn't go very far, and we're like, oh, my God, I love this spot because it's open. There's like a little, I don't know if you'd call it a meadow, but a little opening there with the grassy meadow area.
Sure.
And you're looking over a draw, how the hills are up here. So I'm looking, I'm like, this is a good spot to listen, So we sat there and listened till a little before 6, 5 to 6 or so.
Okay.
Because I told Steve they're on the ground by now, usually, some of them stay up. But usually, this time of year by 5:50, they're hitting the dirt, and so then we just started walking, and we're seeing sign, and I'm like, oh, my God. And I remembered you taking us back there, but then we walked. But when you really start to see stuff when you get off the trail.
Yeah.
And we went down, and we broke out of the end of that food plot, and I wanted to be like at the head of, like it looks like way down at the bottom, it looked like there was some, I don't know if there's like, I don't know if it's farm stuff, but there was some sort of little fields or yards or maybe orchards or pastures for horses or something. There was something down there, and I know turkeys like that edge, so I wanted to kind of get over where I could hear that. But holy cow, we're walking up through there, and we saw deer beds and trails and droppings and jump deer. We saw deer. We had to see 10 or 12 deer. I mean, it was just we were bumping into them like crazy.
Right.
So, at least I felt good that we had all sorts of turkey sign. So that's good. I mean, if they don't want to talk, they don't want to talk. There's not much you can do about that. But
they aren't talking in New York either.
Yeah.
That's those years.
Yeah. That's what what's his
That's
name?
what guys that
Desi says that they're
Desi says.
Al's buddy Desi Alvarez says they have years they don't talk. This is one of them. But no, all joking aside, we have talked to several people. Steve said he's had guys in the store, right?
Yeah. I told a couple of guys because I took a couple of days off, so I'm like, I'm not going to be at the building and, going turkey hunting. And they're like, have you heard any birds this year? We're not hearing birds. And I said, I don't turkey hunt, but
I'm going to tomorrow.
I will get back to you on that. But, now I know why they asked the question.
Yeah. A guy in Buffalo. Hasn't heard him.
Parker, we were talking with Parker Bean. Him and I were messaging, and I thought it was just me. He asked me, he goes, how's the turkeys going? I'm like, man, it's slow. My brother's nothing. I think he heard gobbler or two on opening day.
Oh.
I heard a couple on opening day. I did hear a gunshot opening day, which it's hard to say. I almost believe it could have been in the direction of that gobbler, But I haven't heard one since until today, And Al, you had just that Jake bird there on the second or third day, right?
Yeah. That's it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was telling Steve, I'm also not a turkey hunter. I'm sure the day's going to come when I say, boy, I went on my first turkey hunt and I'm hooked, right, or whatever. But I just haven't done it yet. But where our house is,
We can do May 15th, you know.
there you go.
We can change
know,
all
we
of
start
that.
tomorrow.
We go tomorrow.
We go down to the Walmart and
Yeah,
get you a
that's right. Grab the pickles. Yeah, back we come and out we go. Yeah. So in years past, usually, you know, I come out of the house in the morning, go to start my truck or whatever, and this time of year, I'm hearing birds sound off somewhere, and I've seen on 2 or 3 occasions when I look out over the field or whatever, I've seen large groups of turkey. Now this was leading up to the season. I'm going to say within a 2 to 3 week window before the season. I know one time I counted 27 birds, right, in the field, and so you know they're
you
they're
sent me a
around.
message that morning.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm like there's birds here, you know. Hope you're coming down, right?
Yeah.
And but this year I have not come out of the house and said I heard them.
Nothing.
Yeah, I heard them here or there. So again, I'm not a turkey hunter, but I'm just saying, going along with what you guys are saying or seeing and hearing from other people. Who knows? But yeah, we're seeing the sign, and of course we had the one hen out the window here at the cabin.
That was the best sign.
The first night you guys got here.
Yes,
but
it's raining, standing right behind there. But
I
think Albert ranged it at 50 yards or 60 yards
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah.
And we opened up the door a little bit. We're calling to her. She's like, "What's that down there?"
Yeah.
Sergei's like, "Don't look now, but isn't that a turkey?"
Yeah,
right there?"
yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, yeah, they're. I don't know. I don't know. You get out there and
try it again in the morning.
They go. If they don't, they don't. And either way, it's nice to be in the woods and
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate you having us down. It was nice, you and I have been talking, and you said, why don't you get a couple guys together and come on down? And so it's nice that Steve was able to break away and
Definitely
from the Hunt Works and get down here with us. And
I mean, oddly, I haven't been here. I was here to drop the blinds off.
Yes.
Which was when you and I did our first handshake.
Yes.
How long ago was that?
3
years ago.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay.
I would say it's about right. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been 2 Hamburg shows since we did the Seneca, what's the casino?
The casino, yep.
We did that show, and that's when I dropped a bunch of stuff off at Randy's.
Yep.
And I had been down here already to drop the Banks blinds off type of thing. So, yeah, it's been 3 years.
Yeah.
Flies, doesn't it?
Oh, my.
Jesus. But this hadn't been started or anything. And, I mean, I didn't even get back into this. You kind of unloaded me halfway down the lane there.
Yep.
But what a great property.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
I'm not saying that because you're sitting here, but it's especially the last hour and a half that Bill and I were kind of picking around, which I'm glad you made us stay and do that, because going down through there, it's like, you got Onyx and you got Hunt Stand, and you use Onyx, I use Hunt Stand, and what tremendous tools. I mean,
oh my God, unbelievable.
It does, let's face it does 70% of the, the work for you kind of thing, but nothing replaces the visual,
Getting over there and looking at it.
I learned that gobbler shit curls and it has white in it today. But,
you don't get that on Onyx.
You don't get that on Onyx, but, just a really cool piece of property. And then when I know what it takes to put up that lockdown stand, especially when the tree is completely overgrown by wild rose. So Bill and I were talking. I was like, I would have hated to put that stand up there.
Because
and
that day had to suck.
That's the stand that Jack shot his buck out of this year. So
and I got
what a
pictures
great
of
area.
Jack's buck.
It was a nice buck. Yeah.
So Jack, for anybody that doesn't know, so there's Jack and
Randy.
His son
and
Randy.
right? Yep. So Jack's last name, why?
Titus.
So Jack Titus and Randy Titus. Randy lives down. He's actually a neighbor.
Yes.
To Sergei, and Jack has kind of been a business associate and partner now with Steve, and he actually has some product up at the Hunt Works or at his
in
place,
Syracuse,
up towards Syracuse, Liverpool way, I think.
Millstone Golf Club is where his displays are, and then Jack's just outside of Weedsport.
Yep. So Jack's a great guy, go-getter, and Randy's over here. But Jack has got a couple nice bucks up here.
He has.
And one that a very nice buck.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's interesting that we stumbled across this stand. I mean, it's like 2.5 miles back 3 miles
Right.
back there.
Yep.
And we're like, Steve's like, that's a lockdown down
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah. As soon as
that's
you
where
were,
he got it.
as soon as you were telling me, I'm like, that's the stand that Jack shot his buck out of.
And
You know,
we
'cause
knew,
I know
like,
the,
we're walking in there, we're like, this is nice.
Oh yeah.
This is a nice spot.
Yep. Yep. And that, so quick story with that. So, he gets in his stand early in the morning and he's sitting there and next thing you know, like right out in front of him, comes a 2 doe, I think. And the first one came through and she kept moving. And the second one comes and stops, I'm going to say 50 yards out in front of him there or whatever. And she's looking around and now she's wind in and everything. And now she starts,
Getting
snorting
a little
at him.
alert. Yeah.
Oh yeah. She's snorting at him and she's looking at him and everything. So Jack will tell you the same story. He literally stands up in his stand and he's yelling at her,
Waving at her.
To get her to just get
out of here.
Get out of here. Woof, woof, like this. And he goes, it took me, it seemed like, 30 seconds, but it's probably 5, right? But finally he gets her to move along. He sits down and it's not 45 seconds later, here comes the buck, and so
Wow.
he comes right through and boom.
And you think you've blown up the hunt for
Oh,
an
yeah.
hour,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
having to go
Got
through all
another
of
hour
this.
to wait now.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, great.
Yep.
Crazy.
I could have had another donut and saved this whole experience. Come in an hour later.
Yep.
But that's why you got to be there.
Yes.
You got to
Yep.
be there to
Yeah.
see him, to shoot him.
Yeah, so so people know if they haven't listened to previous. So last year was the first year of providing, I don't know if I want to say a guiding service, but you're an outfitter. You know, you come here,
Yep.
you rent the,
Rent the cabin.
Rent the cabin, get use of all the land.
Yep.
You can have involvement from Sergei and Randy Titus, Jack's boy, who also lives down here. So they'll, show you where the stands are, take you to a stand, pick you up, whatever. There's a little bit extra for that, right?
Yep.
If you're gonna.
Yep.
But if you want to hunt on your own, you hunt on your own. And last year was the first year, and I remember the first time you and I did a podcast. I mean, you didn't have any bookings. There was
Had
nobody.
no customers.
No, zero customers, and we're just kicking it off.
Yep.
And going, geez, how
Yeah.
hope we can get this going. And we did a nice podcast and everything, try and talk about Chestnut Hill Whitetails, and then last year you're full for darn near all of it. I mean, you're almost kind of filled up.
Yeah. So we didn't start taking customers until the 3rd week of archery, just because we were trying to get the cabin finished up, and I kind of told you guys that story, but it literally came like right down to the wire, and we finished up like in, let's say, in the early afternoon, and our first clients showed right up like an hour and a half later. But we were done, and they didn't know any different than, hey, the cabin had been done for weeks or whatever, right? But
Like on HGTV.
yeah,
It's like we got to be done in an hour. They're coming.
So your first podcast, though, was at Hamburg Outdoor
in
Sportsman's
March.
Expo, Buffalo's, whatever that was, in March of 24.
Yes.
Yes.
And then you got a couple of bookings there
At that show.
Right? At the show, yeah.
At the show.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, you were forced to take Joe and his group.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to teach him how to listen to a podcast.
That's right.
He doesn't even know what it is.
Say that.
Yeah. I'm still hoping they cancel for this year. You know what I mean? Well, I'm hoping everybody else comes. I'm hoping Joe, somehow he can't make it. Still working on that deck.
Listen, you can wish all you want. Sometimes wishes don't come true.
Yeah.
He will be here, no matter what.
They were so much fun. I mean, I'm telling you,
they got deer, right?
Yeah. So they
So
got
who was
deer.
it? Was it Joe and his brother?
Yeah,
Joe and his brother
and
Dennis,
yep.
and then three guys, that I don't know. I don't
guys
know
that Joe brought
there.
down with him.
Yes.
Guys
Yeah. It was one of Joe's friends and his son Brock. I can't remember the fella's name. It's right on the tip of my tongue, but super nice guy. His son Brock shot a nice buck. He got that mounted. And coming all the way back to the turkey stuff, but we'll keep going down this way. But we've had one gobbler shot here this year. The guy that shot it is the taxidermist that did a lot of our mounts this year for people and everything.
Local guy.
Expert caller, used to work for Quaker
Oh, he's
Boy.
the guy that worked for Quaker.
Yeah. Bob, I can't think of his last name, but super, experienced guy there or whatever. But they had gone out, I think it's been 2 weeks ago or so, did some calling, had 5 longbeards come in, and Randy let him go by him to get to Bob, and he picked one and got the job done or whatever. But anyhow, yeah. So Joe's group there came down, and
they were like the second group in.
They would have been the second group in. Yes, yeah. So the first group that was in, 3 guys came. 2 of the 3 got nice bucks. The third guy in that group passed up like 2 or 3.
I remember you telling me that. He kept passing them.
Yeah,
and they immediately booked for.
So they didn't. So those guys, and they had kind of said it. They actually have a camp in Tionesta, which isn't that far from here. But for whatever reason, just kind of said, hey, either they have smaller rack bucks, or boy, we don't see, or don't have the amount of property, change of scenery.
Yeah,
so
sometimes it's just that simple. You just want something different to look at.
Yeah, and I think that the son, so the dad was he was 77 years old. He'd had a crossbow for 5 years. Hadn't shot a deer yet with it. I think it was kind of more of one of those. How do you want to say it? Kind of a destination, sort of a vacation that the son, kind of really wanted to put on for his dad and kind of do
Hook
for
him
him.
up.
Yeah. So it couldn't have gone any better. I mean, his son was thrilled.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and
so
then
was it the dad that got one?
the dad got one. Yeah, so the dad and then the son's buddy, who was from Maryland, he shot a nice 8-point as well too while he was here. So. Yeah, this guy that put together a hunt for him, they must be loving him. Let's say it that way, because he passed, like he had videos of bucks. He passed a 10-point. I'm going to say a buck that was in our top. I would say 7.
Wow.
He goes. It actually bedded, like I think it was 22 yards from him, and he's hunting with a crossbow. And he goes, at this point his dad hadn't shot his buck yet, and. But he's like, I don't know what I was thinking. You know what I mean? I don't know either. I'm like, that's a very nice buck, that you just passed. So, but we've had a good, let's call it repeat success rate in terms of rebooking. Yes, yep. So all but 2 of our groups rebooked, and I think the 2 groups that didn't. Again, I think it was just kind of like, hey, this is a something we do. I don't want to say once in a lifetime, but maybe every 5 years, or put it this way, they'd never done it before. They'd never booked through an outfitter before and come and hunt. So they had good success, had fun, whatever. But thankfully, we've been able to book. Those slots, so we literally have like the last week of archery, we have that available. That's the 7th week. We have that available. Our gun season for deer is booked. Our bear season is open, and we have a fair amount of bears around here. We had a couple shots at bears, and we had a group in bear hunting last year, but they didn't get anything. But saw a bear and whatnot. Just tough hunting here. We don't, we're not hunting over bait or whatever. Just the big woods, and go out and see if you can find a track, and maybe you get lucky with snow. Maybe you don't.
55-gallon barrels with the donuts and
bacon grease and
no.
everything. If you did, that's where Al would have been this morning.
Picking through the donuts.
And there's nothing against that, because where the guys hunt it that way, they'd never see a bear.
They'd never get one.
If they did.
No, my brothers.
Such big country.
My brothers and my son Jimmy, my buddy Joel, they've all hunted over bait. I mean, there's some of those areas, and like you say, that if you didn't hunt that way, they wouldn't. You would
have no chance.
Yeah,
and dogs are bait. Really,
right. Yep. Yeah, and it probably comes down to too. I'm going to say the numbers, right? Like if the bear population was so thinned out or something like that, I'm sure they're gonna change that. Yeah. But around here. And there was just a report that came out from the Game Commission. Basically, what they're saying is they look a lot at the, let's say, nuisance calls. Like literally, the people that are calling saying, hey, I got a bear in my chicken coop. Hey, I got a bear eating the garbage off my porch. I've got, whatever. And they've kind of talked about how those calls have kind of gone down through the years and whatnot. But and I'm sure they have other studies or other research that says why they're doing what they're doing. But this year they actually shortened up the bear season. The bear season itself is the same length like the traditional bear season, but we had in archery, you could hunt bear for, there was I'm going to say 3 weeks that were open during our archery season that you could take your crossbow or your traditional bow and you're hunting deer, but hey, this black bear came by and, I happened to shoot a black bear, I can whack them. Right. So, now this year, I think there's only 1 week that you can do that during archery. Okay. Yeah. So they've kind of shortened that up a little bit too. So, yeah, who knows? A lot of science, I guess, or whatever goes into it.
Of that.
Yep.
Well, Pennsylvania's got it going on. I'll tell you, the game. I deer hunt down here, so I'm over the other side of Coudersport and with Billy and the Pertinier crew. But so that's always a lot of fun. But we've seen bear and deer, and we get some tremendous bucks down here.
Sure.
And it's we got our own camp.Ale's got a camp that he hunts out of, and Steve's got his place. So it's hard for us to get down here, for deer because we all kind of treasure or value that time at our camps, and we have guests coming in and things. So, so it was really nice to get down here. I've never in my life hunted out of state for turkeys,
Yeah.
And so it was fun. Steve doesn't even hunt turkeys. He doesn't.
He still came.
This is maybe my 8th to 10th time ever.
Okay.
Yeah. Always up there, but I also afflicted with walleye fishing. So
sure.
Spring gets hopping between fishing and
a lot to do in May.
Yeah, Al and I are addicted to mowing lawns. We're obsessed with our lawns. So spraying weeds and having lawns and getting
every other day now, right?
Yeah,
literally, I've been mowing every 2 days. Al did too.
Yeah, I've mowed 3 times in the last 6 days.
Yep. This time of year, right? Everybody's just, and especially after the winter,
it's so
we were
busy,
talking.
Yeah.
That's every other day, Al.
Well, unless he mowed it 3 times in a row, and he hasn't mowed it in 3 days.
Not 3 days, right? Took 3 days off. But on average,
it's every other day.
Just clearing that up.
Oh God! But it is such a busy time, And it's like I always go into turkey season. I'm like, man, I'm going to hammer him. I'm going to be all over him, and then I'm like, oh Jesus, I'm tired.
I got to do this. I got to do that.
It's like, and then the logger calls, and it's like, oh, we're ready to get started. And it's like we got to pull all our stands. We got to get all the cameras in. We got to bring our blinds in. And
that's a lot of work.
My brother runs a firewood business, and we got all this firewood. And he's like, I want to use this for my log landing. Can you move that? It's moving 24 face cord of firewood is not an easy.
No.
And it wasn't. My brother's like, well, we'll deliver it. So that means we got to split it all.
Sure.
So opening weekend, I spend a few hours hunting, and the rest of the time splitting firewood, hauling firewood. Oh my God. So there's always I'm just saying it's a busy time. This was a really cool opportunity, to walk away from that and focus, for a couple of days on hunting and get down and get to see you and see the camp. And I'm really glad that we did that. It's hard. I told Steve this morning, this is like, I think Steve worded it well, it's a discovery day in order. Like we had to move. We did a couple setups. If we had struck a bird, we would have worked them, obviously. But I'm like, let's cover some ground. Let's get a feel for we got 2 days to hunt. So the first day, if we can figure out what's a little bit where they're hanging and get some good sign, and then we know where to go tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit about it, and I definitely think we should go back to the Jack and Randy component of this. But we were up on 456.
Yeah. Yep.
Today.
Yep.
But adjacent to that, how many acres are here total?
Yep. So we have I'm going to say 3 chunks. We have one chunk that's like 420 acres. Let's call it that. Behind that, we have an additional 315 acres. And then behind that, we have an additional 462 acres. Okay. So I'm going to say you guys, and I guess we should really say too, what I was trying to, get these guys to come down and hunt here was that next year we would like to offer turkey hunts to people. But again, I'm not a turkey hunter, so I wanted to get some folks in, kind of see the property, get out, experience it. Last night we kind of took a ride back, and these guys are looking at their phones and they're like, yeah, I think we'll be okay. You got me back to this point, and now I understand where the property lies. And so for me, I'm going to say as an outfitter, looking at this, for me, I would call it basically a self-guided hunt. Yes, maybe I got you back to, like, let's say the top center point where there's 9 different valleys that you guys could explore or whatever, but I'm going to say successful day, other than you didn't see any turkeys, meaning like, everybody saw some sign, you made it back to camp, you saw some spots that you thought, boy, maybe I'll go to again, next year. Long way to answer your question, but that's the amount of property that we have that we will be offering
it's a
for
big
turkey
property.
hunts.
And the thing is, having, I just tickled to death that I actually came here, took a couple of days off and came here to just see what's up there. But like I was at a hunt in Kentucky with the NDA a few years back. And that guy, the property was like 1,400 acres, and then he had a separate 700-acre research fence.
Okay.
A fenced-in property. I mean, it was an unbelievable property.
Sure.
And he had a huge map on the wall. It was a house.
Yeah.
It was a freaking beautiful lodge.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And then he had a binder, a notebook, and everything. And you open it up, and there was description and everything. So what somebody like Bill or Al you can take advantage of that. If you get a topo and, put it somewhere here for reference for your guys coming in. Deer, I think deer is easier maybe, because their sign is more recognizable, at least for me, than I learned a lot today, just this morning, from you on that. But I still, my impression is it's still easier on the deer side. But if you end up having turkey, outfitting for turkey and have a thing here and just have little notes from guys like, Bill, Al, the Quaker Boy guy. That guy probably knows how to turkey hunt, type of thing. And just notes, great side, because the ecology is always evolving up there. You've got logged areas up there. You've got 2 or 3rd year successional stuff, up there, that one area that we walked through and we saw no sign or anything. Right. But then when you think about it, with the other areas, why would they be there?
Right, why would they be in there?
They wouldn't be there, type of thing.
Well, we could see with Onyx the areas that had real diversity with maybe some open, really not fields, but it was like some green and I don't know how it ended up like that, but there was patches, and so it was broken up ground that offered, the grassy meadow type feel. Through some logging trails.
So my thought was that, like, when we went from the lockdown over to where we saw all of that sign, it was crazy. I said, maybe Jack, brought the bush hog through here.
Sure.
And just, went around and cut that down at some point last year.
Yep.
And now it's greened in and giving them nice transition areas.
Sure.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
Because you would go through there and then you'd hit little patches of, 1-inch saplings.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And it was all scratched up.
Okay.
Yeah, it tore up a lot.
Yeah.
And to have that as a starting point.
Correct.
Because it just round numbers, you got 1,200 acres up
Sure.
there.
Yeah.
Where do you start?
Where do you start?
Yeah.
So one of the other things I've noticed, and Al, you probably in your years at turkey hunting, matter of fact, your dad always told me, like, there was one spot up at our camp where he used to like to go. And that was at that little pines there right above the field there. So from the cabin you would head north.
Okay.
And get up. But he goes, there's always birds there. He goes, it's the lay of the land, right?
The natural. Yep.
So it's like they're always going to be there. He goes, there was turkeys there last year. There was turkey there 5 years ago. I'll kill a bird there next year. You know, he's like,
Yeah.
so what, like you really, it's important to know the property and where the, and that's what you get into when you're hunting, whatever, if it's chucks or something or where you're going, right? So I think up here it's really hard when you come in cold turkey hunting because it's like, okay, I decide I want to listen to this valley for birds gobbling early in the morning, and they could be, 500-600 yards, half mile on the other side, gobbling in the other draw. So we tried to hit both sides a little bit today to see, like where every mud hole or wet spot. It rained yesterday. I'm looking for tracks. Then I'm looking for tracks that are like old tracks, like real old tracks that are like mudded in, then tracks that are like a few days ago, and then tracks that are this morning. Right? So I'm like, all right, they're repeatedly coming through here. Right. And that's the hard part.
That's a natural.
I think the turkeys shift, right? But as the season goes on,
as the feed goes away,
change and their needs change, and the hens start to nest. And that's what Jimmy calls it, the shift. He goes, you're going to start here, you're going to end up there. It's almost like whitetails with a rut, Okay. You're going to start with a pre-rut and all that, I mean, so we all know that cycle, right? But it's really, like, it was a bit intimidating as I thought coming down. I was like, I don't even know where to start. And I picked out 2 spots that we would start at, and we'd, and we didn't start at either one of them.
How did you guys make the decision? Because I'm going to say last evening, of course, it was just you and I and Albert that went up to kind of get you back in to, let's say, the starting point. And I had said to you, I think either on the way in or the way out or both, I'd said, hey, I can take you down this other road by what we were calling like the stone pit or the gravel pit. And you're like, oh, no, and I said, based on the way I'm seeing you guys look at your phone, I think you'd be fine if you wanted to find. So at what point did you decide, hey, I'm going to drop these 2 guys off and let them make their way back to the cabin? Or how'd that go?
This morning, and as I'm looking at it and trying to develop a game plan.
And figure out the Keurig.
Knowing that he's bootstrapped by a rookie, right? It's going to be zero value add,
right?
With any.
Hey, you can cover behind me. There's not zero. That's something more than. It's something more than zero. But we're looking at it, and I'm like, we ought to be on somebody on the north side of the ridge, if you will, the north side. Somebody on the south side. So I'm like, if we're going to be on the north side, I got looking, and there's a logging road. It appeared, and I don't know if it's a hard dirt road.
If they found it, it's a hard. Because I'm like same style hard road.
I showed Albert. I'm like, if I drop you at this gravel pit and you cut across and hit that hard road,
that's what we did.
And then just stay on that, and it follows the contour. And I said, this is where Sergei was saying, I mean, if you want, loop back and come to the truck. But you could also drop down to the cabin or whatever. So I'm like, we'll see you at noon at the cabin, or at the truck, or we'll catch you at the cabin. So we decided that way they would cover that whole side. And then Steve and I just wanted to find a spot where I was looking to the southwest. There's some of those draws, and I just wanted to be able to, I was hoping to hear a gobble on the side hill and be able to pinpoint it because I'm looking at it. I'm on the other side of the bowl, and then we could make a move or something. Well, we didn't go far, and we hit that little spot, and I'm like, Jesus, I like this spot. It's nice, I could just see birds coming up here. So there was a little area in the center with some stumps, big old oak stumps. So we got in there and sat on them stumps, and I'm like, let's just listen, see if we hear a gobble. And if not, then we'll start working this road and see if we, on this road, they ought to be picking up gravel for their gizzards and stuff, and God, they're working that road because there was droppings and everything, and so it was just and then we started really looking, and we went in that little, you go down towards where the buck hut is, on that food plot, which, by the way, that is one of the most awesome crops of what did I say that was in there? Bitter dock.
Bitter dock.
I have never seen a better crop of bitter dock. That is so nice. And every once in a while, the freaking clover's coming up. It's what's with that? Can you spray for that clover?
Right. Get it out of the way.
Can you get rid of the clover?
I was like, Jesus. I told Steve, this bitter dock will haunt them.
Sure.
I don't know enough about it. But that stuff is just you can go in there and kill it, and it'll be back 2 weeks.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But there was some nice clover in there, all joking aside.
Oh, yeah.
Little patches of clover. But there's a logging road that comes into the northeast corner of that little food plot. So if you were in that buck hut and looking right across the food plot, in that far corner there's a logging road that angles up, and it goes to the area where Steve and I found all that sign by the lock-on stand.
Sure.
It goes all the way through there.
Yes, it does. Yep.
So I'm like, that'd be a good road to set on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't. We were just walking and calling, hoping to fire something.
Yeah.
And we would not have gone down over that edge. Like, we went down to the bottom of that little food plot, and then we decided. I told Steve, I go, we're going to do a setup here and see what happens. And so we did that, and then, having heard that bird, I'm like, it's the only bird I know of. Let's just kind of drift that way. Maybe I can fire him back up, And then we started in there, and we're like, holy mackerel, the deer sign and the oaks. And
well, we had the two doe come up.
Yeah, a couple deer.
I
forgot about that.
Yeah, there were at least two doe in the food plot below the buck hut.
Then there was a third one that came out.
Waiting for the bitter dock to grow.
Right.
There any clover in here?
Yeah.
I'm hungry, but this bitter dock is bitter.
Smell it. I can't find it.
Yeah.
But so Jack is from Bradford. Jack Titus.
Yes.
Bradford guy.
Yep.
Randy,
his son.
But Randy was in Syracuse.
Yes.
And now he's here.
Yes.
Down below.
Yep. On Corwin Lane.
You're out on Corwin.
Yep.
Randy's doing, the tree stand work.
Anything and everything.
All of that stuff.
Super help, right? I mean, goes out, checks cameras, fluffs up mineral sites, food plotting, keeps trails cleared, sets stands, assembles stands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But has a day job. So, that's maybe where the perspective, like May is busy.
Oh, yeah.
And we're in the same, Randy and I are in the same industry.
He's in Virginia right now.
He's on a different side of the industry, but we're same industry. And, this is the time of year you make hay.
Sure.
So, what's his, is that maybe why you put a little break on this year?
As far as like the turkey hunting goes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for me, I think the big thing was, so I grew up deer hunting.
You did deer hunt because I know you don't hunt now, right?
I do, but I just usually hunt to the refrigerator. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So much more productive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
so you got smart at a younger age.
There you go. There you go. So grew up hunting, had great parents, exposed us to hunting, loved it, whatever. Now that I've got into the outfitting, maybe the time will come where I say, hey, I have time to go and, get back to hunting again. But for right now, I'm really enjoying just enjoying the people and everything. So, my dad got us going with the hunting. He was not a turkey hunter. We went small game, squirrel hunting, grouse, the whole 9 yards. But and he probably took us turkey hunting, but it wasn't like it wasn't. He did have a turkey call, I can remember that. But we didn't really set out, turkey hunting. It wasn't a thing for us. Sure. And so I think because I hadn't really grown up doing it or had experienced that, I sort of had this this feeling of saying, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And even if I'm just saying like, self-guided hunts, right? Like the feedback that you guys have given me since you've been here and even on this podcast or whatever, it's all stuff that, I was looking for, right? I wanted to know. And so that, again, if next year we say, yep, we're ready to do it, let's go. So I think for me, having not done turkey hunting before, and kind of back to Steve's point earlier in the podcast, he had kind of made mention that he's like, I think turkey hunting might be a little more difficult than deer hunting, Yeah. So I've got that built up in my mind. Yeah. So as an outfitter saying, boy, I want my people to be successful or, minimally have a good time, enjoy themselves here and not come here saying, boy, these guys aren't prepared or whatever. That was the reluctancy. Jack and Randy, I think those guys are like they're ready to do anything. You know, they're cool guys, right? Like, and I mean, they're just let's plow ahead, let's go, we'll figure it out. You know, and I'm like, you know, maybe holding back. You know, and
well, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah. So this year, you know, I look at it and I say, okay, we've had 2 turkey hunts. We had the
Bob there.
The good guy.
Bob, the taxidermist,
the good hunter.
the Quaker boy guy, the guy that builds his own call from scratch, goes out,
right.
you know, and calls the turkey in, has 5 of them come, and he's done it at 9:30, you know, and you know, whatever. That was 2 weeks ago. It was one day, right? So you guys are here now. You're taking in the experience. We're talking about it. We're, you know, and I think, you know, my feeling is that, you know, next year we're going to offer turkey hunts at Chestnut Hill, you know, and I think some of my worries, I just have to say, I think the big thing for me is just basically saying, hey, these are self-guided hunts. Now, kind of like you were saying earlier, Bill, is that, you know, hey, is it a little more if it's a let's call it semi-guided versus, you know, self-guided or whatever. For us, it's more about making sure that every person is getting what they need when they're here. If they're a person that can, we can take them to a tree stand, they can pull out their hunting app, they can mark it, and they say, I'll be fine in the morning. Seriously, I don't need your help. I'll be fine. I can get to that stand. Okay, great. You can understand that when you look in a guy's eyes. Right. Then there's the next guy that when you're coming out from the stand, he's tying a ribbon on every branch, every 15 feet, right. You know, on the 1.5 mile walk back. You know what I mean? And eventually you say, hey, we're out of ribbon. Don't worry. I'll get you to the stand in the morning, right? Or whatever, right? So as it relates to turkey,
40 yards from the nearest logging trail.
Yeah, yeah.
Ribbon.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So, for me, I think just not really knowing a lot about it, never done turkey calling or anything. So, you know, I just want to make sure I'm not disappointing people. Right. Basically, when they come, I'm providing them something that when they walk away, they say, boy, I would do that again. Either just because I want to, right. Or, you know, because I can, or because I did kill birds, or I found birds, or I saw a sign, or whatever, right? So,
and I think that's for us. I mean, I entered into it knowing like I hunt our camp for turkeys, right? And I know it like the back of my hand. I know where the birds usually are, and I'm struggling this year.
Yeah.
So coming down here is like, what am I, you know?
Right.
But it's I love learning new ground. So for me, it was a nice adventure to get down, spend some time with you, experience the camp that you put together here, but also to get out and like in 1/2 a day basically, because I only hunted till noon, but we had 6 or 7 hours out there, right? Oh. And we had 7 hours.
Yeah.
And you know, I picked up a lot, you know, and you get a couple days of that and you start to understand the property.
Yeah.
And
so
know how it works.
What are you thinking for tomorrow morning? Give me, because I think, was it Steve or Al? I can't remember. One of you guys. That's okay. Yeah. So you two guys are set. And Albert and Al, you're dropping them halfway up Rue Hill and saying, "Good luck, boys." No.
I'm thinking. Steve doesn't know this yet, but I'm thinking that we have Al go into like that main area that we were in, and I'm thinking that area's got to be duplicated somewhere.
Okay.
Right. I mean, the turkeys aren't in just one spot. Right. And there's a road that we were up there. We took your machine and ran up there.
Nice.
And I was looking, and there's you know how you and I went down that, Steve, we went down that one road, and it brought us in by where the ladder stand was down in that one. So if you go back another road and then take it and drop down, remember that ridge we were looking on over there? We can get out on that ridge. Wow. And I'm not so much like I don't know, I might be complete. I'm just telling you my gut feel is that I feel like the north and east facing slopes tend to not do as good for me for turkeys as the south and west facing slopes.
Okay.
And just because of a lot of the south southwest facing slopes will have some oaks and stuff. I don't know. It's
Okay.
just the way in
Yeah.
the land I hunt. That's the way it is, you know. So I wanted to get. I thought, you know, maybe we should go down and get on that ridge, and then we can be on the top of the next, you know. So we'd be like one ridge system over. I don't, you know, and it's like, I don't, you know. I mean, we can split up, or you can go with Al and go back into that spot and set up.
No, we just have to, and Al knows, he'll know up there, but somebody should be in there.
Yeah, well, I can drop Albert
definitely.
a pin, and you guys can go in there.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. At first, I was thinking that we would split that. You know, where we did our second setup?
Yeah.
I was thinking we'd be over there,
The
and
stump.
then these guys would be in there. Yeah, and then yes.
With the gobbler and the stump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that spot, I was thinking that you and I had set up there, so we're a little bit farther west, and then these guys would be down in that spot we found at the end, because we can drop them in there. We can drop them at either spot. So, but the
Sure.
problem is, like, if we don't get a bird going, now what do? We're both like in each other's lap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And with turkey hunting, I mean, you really got to have some space.
Sure.
So I was thinking, well, maybe we'll have that area is not that, it's kind of that whole finger, that ridge system that goes down. So maybe if we put these guys on that, we go find another one, you know? So that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Good.
And you know, turkey hunt is like any other hunting, right? Like I always say with deer hunting, you know, when you least expect it.
Right.
Right? Because you'll be like, I ain't seeing nothing. So, holy jeez, there's a buck, bang, you know? So you just don't. And that's the way turkey hunting is. You'll walk along, you're like, these birds suck, they're not calling. Yeah, all of a sudden it's like, you know, it's like, oh, game on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's why they call it hunting and not harvesting.
That's right.
Yeah. So Al, when you guys got dropped off this morning at we're calling it the gravel pits or whatever, and you guys made your way back to camp, tell us about that trek, or, you know, how'd you guys do it? You went for a while and you kind of found a valley or something. You made some calls. What'd you do?
Well, we set up there first, and we sat there hour and a half, I'd say. We'd heard nothing. So we moved down just before the road where we dropped down. I think we set up one more time before we went through the woods to catch that lower trail.
Yep.
And then we got on that, and we kept moving. I mean, we would walk, you know, probably 5-10 minutes, just to get out of the area of the me calling and that. And we would set up. When we set up mainly on the roads, and we worked our way down. We probably set up 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
All the way down, and then we ended up right back here on our last one, and right where this point comes out here, up on
above
top.
the cabin,
Yep. And we sat there. That was our last set, and we just didn't hear any gobbling, but we were tooting and everything else, and just one of those things. And we got to know it, and it wasn't a bad walk, you know.
Yeah.
What did we get, Albert? 3.7 miles. Yeah. To come down from there. So it was a nice walk. It was a nice day. We got a little wet, and that was it.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, no, that's cool. I'm thinking that the route that you guys likely took, oh boy, I'm going to say 2.7 miles into your journey. There would be, if you were on the road that I'm going to describe, there would have been a very distinct switchback. So number one, as you guys would have been walking, you would have been seeing pump jacks.
Yes.
Okay. So you're walking along, and then all of a sudden, you know, you kind of, the road comes down like this, and then you cut hard to the right, and then immediately it bends right to the left again.
Is that where that truck is sitting down there?
Yes.
The old truck?
Yeah.
That sits right there?
Yeah. Yeah. So in that area, and Albert's showing me the map. Yeah, so I'm seeing exactly what we're talking about here. Yeah, so the crazy thing about that is, you know, some of these valleys they're so big, right? And the way they kind of, the benches sort of step down, you know, from this area, you sort of reach a point at which there's, I'm going to call it another trail. It's not a road like that. It's more of like a 4-wheeler path or something like that. That if you were to, let's call it, almost retrace your steps or head back the way you would come from,
Mm-hmm.
you're almost hitting a whole nother set of valleys, just
really?
lower. It's unbelievable. To let's call it the amount of property or whatever. You know what I mean? So
a lot of area.
Yeah. Big woods. And it.
And it's cool. What's cool about it, and I've told several of these guys, say you don't get this in New York.
Oh.
First of all, this is private.
Sure.
It's private property.
Yeah.
But there was logging going on. You could hear them logging up there.
Yeah.
We saw the pump jack tender.
Okay.
We saw them also.
Yeah. Did you? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Same guy we saw last night, Billy.
Yeah.
You think the
Yeah.
4-door with the
Red
suspenders?
pickup.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we passed him. But we seen him back in there. But it's like, where else can you go? And like you're driving for miles.
Yeah.
And the only people you see, there's people working back in there for the
Right.
day. But other than that, we didn't see anybody. you know?
Okay.
And
No houses, no
right.
nothing.
Yeah.
And we're not far away. I don't know, 2.5 hours north of here, northeast of here, but
Sure.
it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
And that's what I love when I got bit by the bug coming to PA with my boys, it's like you will not experience. And even in the Adirondacks, it's not like that because down here, like Pennsylvania has really got it going on. They're managing their woodlots. These state game lands are being managed. There's harvests going on. It's
Sure.
just, and there's a lot of, especially Adirondack State Park, there's a lot of that it's everybody's about, forever wild. Don't
Sure.
ever touch it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Is that better?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Right. Right.
Manage the woodlot. You want to have good, healthy wildlife populations and balance, and that's what you want to do.
Some new life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and nothing lives forever, right?
Right.
The tree,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can, you can leave
Some-
that. You can leave that tree, but it's going to
It's
blow
falling
down. It's
over.
going to rot.
Yep. Something's
know?
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was telling Steve, I pointed out a black cherry. I go, see that black cherry that's marked for logging here? I go, yeah. I go, that's small.
Yeah.
Where I bear hunt in the Adirondack.
Sure.
It's a small tree.
Oh, yeah.
The tree. I go, Steve, you and I together couldn't reach around some of these black cherries.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Yeah.
And then you'll go in there, a couple of years later, and it's laying on the ground, snapped off in a windstorm.
Yep.
So it's it's just like I've said it on my deer hunting podcast, with boys. But kudos to PA. It's like anybody hasn't gotten down here. You gotta try it. You just gotta come down to. It's so different,
Yeah.
And this is a great. We were talking earlier before we turned on the podcast. We were talking about fishing, and it's like, so I was joking with some of these guys. I even told my wife, like, I don't know what to do. Like,
sure.
Like when I'm home, I'll turkey hunt to a certain point, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to work.
Yep.
And I start doing whatever work it is I want to do. It's like, I don't know.
Well, I did tell you where the key to the lawnmower was.
Yeah.
I mean,
I offered to level all the stone out here. I'm like,
push the stone on.
I'm like, where do you want
Where's
that
the
stone?
shovel?
That was
or
a
you
shovel.
said skid steer, didn't you? My
No,
bad.
I said, let me get that
Oh, that's
machine.
right. Yeah.
So is that your excavator? What do you need me to do? You need some work done here or something?
Yeah.
Want me to dig that culvert out of there, blue in there? But it's
You'd rather
there's
do
other
that than hunt turkey.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. I'd be back here at 9 o'clock playing with a machine.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot to do here.
There is.
And
Yeah.
Albert and I passed. Albert, what was that? Rock City or something?
Yeah, that's a
We're
cool
done.
spot.
What is that?
Yeah, so there's
Albert asked me. I said, I don't
huge
know.
rock formations there. To the point of like, I'm going to say this time of year when it's like a little rainy and stuff like that. Like you gotta watch your step.
A little slippery.
Yeah, slippery, and there's big crevices and so forth and so on. A really cool area with just these huge outcroppings of
Yeah, we went to
rocks.
the store. We went up to Sheets there to get some adult beverage, and there was we saw the sign there.
The
But
sign
there's
for
that,
Rock
and then
City.
I told
Yep.
these guys coming down, I'm like, I almost thought about throwing in my fishing pole. 'Cause
Oh,
I thought
yeah.
maybe we could.
Yeah.
Usually in Pennsylvania there's trout streams.
Oh,
everywhere.
definitely.
But you were talking about like we're not far from some of the
Yeah,
bays that were
Kinzu, Willow Bay, Sugar Bay, all these places are so close to us here, and they're just absolutely beautiful.
So
in fact,
the dam, the reservoir,
Yes.
with that they walleye fish in
Yes.
is Kinzu.
yes, yep. And I'm gonna say,
How far is that from here?
so I just went through there today because I went down to Warren.
Oh, did you go
okay,
over to Warren
yeah. So I
today?
went down 59.
That's the way I've gone across.
Do
that.
you?
Beautiful
Okay.
drive.
Oh, it's absolutely yeah, and I think it's called Casey Bridge. It's the long bridge that drives over, and you can look both ways, and it's just trees and landscape.
That's
and,
what we
and
went
water.
over. It's gorgeous.
Oh, it's stunning. Yeah. So, But yeah, all that stuff's within. It's interesting. We get spoiled here, right? So after college, I went to Philadelphia for a couple of years and lived there. So, but here, if you drive for an hour and you drive 60, 65 miles an hour, you've gone 60 or 65 miles, right? Yeah. So in Philadelphia, you get up in the morning and you drive, 2 miles, and it was an hour, or whatever, depending on the day, right?
They call that gridlock.
There you go. Yeah. So for me, I think growing up here, when I think like, oh, geez, is it really something? Should I be telling people hey, it's 35 minutes to Kinzua from here? I'm thinking that's kind of far. But really, for people who are coming from out of town that are used to driving,
right, that's nothing.
That's nothing to them. You know what I mean? To drive 35, 40 minutes to get to that type of a destination. Yeah. So
there was some sort I don't know if it was a state park or maybe it was, I don't know what it was, a campground. But Al and I were coming back across. We went last summer. I forget what the date was. Doesn't matter. But we went down to south of Warren. There was a state park down there, and we cooked a meal. There was a volunteer working for wildlife event for NDA.
Okay.
So Al and I volunteered to cook lunch for all them guys, all the volunteers and the park rangers and everything. So we fed like 100 people down there.
Well.
But on the way back, that's the way we went.
Yeah.
We come down through here, and we went out 59, went across. But coming back, there was like boats, and there was families picnicking, and there's this grass over. It was, breathtakingly beautiful area.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. So I bring that up because, like, if somebody wanted to book this place for, I don't know how long you'll do for turkey hunts, 3, 4, 5 days, a week, whatever you do.
Yep.
But there's tons to do in between. In the afternoons, you could sightsee, fishing.
Yep. And
hiking. There's hiking trails. Everywhere.
Tons of hiking trails. And then the other thing, when we're talking about like the fishing side of it, so the Bradford Water Authority has 2 reservoirs here just outside of Bradford. Like literally from where we're sitting, you could pull in there in 15 minutes or less. Okay. And they're stocked reservoirs.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And you can go there and fish. Like if you go there, especially like in the evenings, during this time, there's always, I'm going to say maybe 10, 12 cars there or whatever. The weekends, there's going to be more people or whatever. But they're beautiful spots too, and very close, so yeah.
I could see somebody running this not to hunt, and you do. To that end, I mean, you guys are working on getting this on like whatever you call
Airbnb.
it.
Yeah. We do have it on Airbnb, and we have a few bookings. One, it's been really interesting to see, because I'm not a tech savvy guy or really into the computers or whatever. Whenever somebody like finds you from another state or whatever
from far away,
how in the world did they locate us? So we actually have here in town, they've had for I don't know how many years, but it's been a while. They have an event called the Jeep Jamboree. So people come from all over the country.
Really? Run some of these roads and trails.
Run these back roads that you guys have seen here and stuff. They've got map trails, and they have guides that go in Jeeps, and it's a big thing for like the Zippo and Case Visitor
They all
Center.
have to go down this road though.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they go by here 100%. Yeah, they parade right past here, and even in years past, way up back here, they've actually kind of cut through various areas up in here. But we have this year, I think it's late in June, but we have a couple that's booked from they're from Maine, coming down here, and they're going to trailer their Jeep down and stay Wednesday through Sunday, I think it is. Nice. But their intentions are, they're bringing their Jeep. They'll go to the Jeep Jamboree, and it's their first year coming down here and staying here. So that'll be cool. I hope they enjoy it. So. But,
well, I've stayed in a few.
They're gonna love it.
I was gonna say I've stayed in a few Airbnbs, so I'm not like by any means a great source of. But I can tell you, this is by far the nicest.
Oh well, thank you. I appreciate that
place that I've. I mean, this to describe it, it's almost. And I don't know. Like my wife and I was telling Steve, we watch it, or I mentioned earlier. I guess that we watch HGTV a lot, but this would be like it's a industrial modern You know?
Sure.
Yep.
I mean, you purposely have the plumbing on the exterior of the walls, and it's all done with like polished copper. I mean, it's like really, it's just so unique.
All your conduits are, you know.
Yeah, it's all like
outside.
exposed
I mean,
conduit. Nothing's in the wall. It's such a unique look.
Got little standoffs with
Sure.
brass freaking coupling. I
Yeah.
mean, it's freaking awesome.
Well, thank
It's
you.
just, it's a work of art.
Did
Sure.
you
So
design this?
yeah, so I'm gonna say design on the
That's
fly.
pretty cool.
Let's say it
Sure.
that way. But yeah, we didn't have any plans. We just kind of went at it. We knew what we wanted to, let's say, accomplish in the end, and so we just kept
It's
chipping
just
away. You
beautiful.
get something done, and you go to the next thing or whatever. So
Well,
but
Yep.
Yeah.
Very, very well done. And I think, I hope we can, we'll hopefully we come back and turkey
I hope
hunt
you
again
do.
next year or something.
And we're already talking about this late season.
So we got the late season.
Yeah.
I was asking him, I said, what do we got? Are you
Yeah.
booked up for this coming year? And you are
So
heavily booked.
We are, but we have the last week of archery is available. Week 7 is available. We have bear season available, and then we have our late season archery flintlock. And then this year, the PA is letting for folks that have DMAP tags, which we get DMAP tags with some of the property that we have here. You can actually hunt with a rifle for doe during that time. So we have 3 weeks, and it starts December 26th. December 26th, and runs through, I think it's January 20th or something.
Yep.
But we have 3 weeks there that are unbooked. That boy, if you're a group that says, hey, I'd shoot some does, and come on down. We got lots of deer, and this year
we're not above that, are we, Al?
we'd have all scored today.
That's right.
Been easy picking.
Yeah.
Talk about deer hunting and turkey hunting.
Yeah.
We'd all got deer today.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if any of those slots are, which I would guess that they will be, but if there's, if you guys could come down during that time, I would love it. That'd be fun. That might be when you get me out hunting.
That's right.
Yeah. That might be when you get me out hunting.
So and you got a walk-in cooler. You're going to be, that's kind of in your future, working on getting. I was joking with you, like you watch some of these hunting shows, and I forget the name of them guys down south, but they had like the skinning shed, and they hang the deer in there, and you do your skinning and butchering, and you may even like build another structure to kind of house that. And you were talking about maybe even like a little commercial kitchen out there.
Yeah, so that's the dream.
Cool
it started with getting the cooler, which we have the cooler now, and my goal this year is by archery season this year to have at least the cooler up and functional with a roof over it. I don't know if I'll have walls or anything like that, but at least if I have the cooler, somebody comes in here and day one, it's 65, 70 degrees or whatever, and
they got a place they can hang it. And
exactly. Yep. So
where's that going to be?
So I haven't decided 100%. I'm sort of thinking out this back corner is kind of where I would put it. We have great neighbors here and everything like that, but I just sort of thought if we stuck it there, just kind of it's almost like a fence, right? So we put the building there. They don't have to like see our craziness going on or deal with us and kind of give them a little more privacy more than anything, honestly. But and it would be close, right? So the guys come back to camp and if they want to hang out there, and I think you guys had kind of talked about a little bit of a place you'd been before. Maybe it's your own camp, Bill, where you kind of see you have I'm going to call it almost like a tack room, where you go in.
Gear room,
the
yeah.
gear
we have
room.
a gear room, yeah.
Yeah, so it was really neat this past year seeing these hunters come in. I'm going to say almost all the groups, every guy brings like a giant tote, like something.
Got a big tote of gear.
Yeah. Something Maria's like packing up the Christmas tree and the stockings and, everything in and asking me to carry the basement. You know what I mean? But a huge tote of like all the hunting gear, right? So in my mind, even though we have a good amount of space in here, if we had that gear room where the guys could kind of go with just their daily wares or whatever, their hunting gear.
That's one of the best things we ever did. When guys come in, not only they bring all the gear, they're bringing all their food, right? They got coolers and we got beer and food and all this stuff. So, we had the one room and we didn't like. It was a porch. It was an open porch, and my brother's like, we should close this in, make it a gear room. I'm like, a gear room? He goes, yeah. He goes, this would be like the drop zone, right? Or a gear where we come in and boots come off, everybody gets undressed.
The wet clothes.
I got one whole wall, and you'd be proud of me the way I built it. It's all like with wood that I had. I slapped it together, but I got clothes poles.
Yeah.
And so you can hang your gear, and there's enough room where it can be drying.
Yep.
And then I got shelves in the center.
Yep.
And so I mean, there's a whole area, and then all the boots go there. So it's really when you walk into the cabin, if you will.
Sure.
That's now
you're in your street clothes or whatever. Versus, hey, I've got my rain gear. Now I've got my keep warm.
Taking
clothes.
all your camouflage off, setting on the kitchen table or whatever. So it's nice.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the. I mean, as far as the functionality of our camps, one of the best things we ever did.
Yeah, I got to give you one funny story, and then I'm sure you guys are probably getting ready to wrap up. Although I could talk to you for 2 days here. So I was telling you when we finished this up last year before the first group came, it was the third week of archery. Literally 3:30, we're driving out the lane. 5 o'clock, the first group pulls in here. So we were done. When I say done, meaning the water was running, shower was good, water was hot, bedding was clean, the whole 9 yards. We had the basics. We were all done. Okay. However, some of the fine details of saying, boy, in the bathroom I want a place to hang a wash towel. I want a place to hang a towel when I get into the walk-in shower or whatever sort of thing. We didn't get to any of that, right?
Okay.
So the first group comes in, super nice people, right? And this was the group that the father, 77, father, son, and son friend or whatever. The dad was so nice. I mean, like, as soon as he comes in, he's like, hey, Art, can you come over tomorrow night for lasagna? He's like, I made our family lasagna, or Italian family. He's like, I made it special for you guys. Can you bring your wife, come over, and have lasagna with us, And I said, oh, yeah, we'll definitely do that. So just super nice people. So anyways, by day 3, he says to me, he goes, hey, don't take this as I'm not complaining. Or, he's like, we're having a great time. He's like, we're seeing deer. And Jeff was the one guy, he's already got a deer. And, we're just ecstatic. We're having a super time. He goes, but one thing I would say, he goes, if you could at least put like a hook or two in the cabin, that would be really helpful. I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. Like, if you come next year, I'll have a couple hooks, right?
You should have been here 10 days ago. And
Exactly. You'd have been saying, can you have a shower here?
Could you put a shower in?
For next year.
We'll
nothing. Get you one. But, it is the funny
No,
story.
It's set up nice with the, I've admired the hooks. You got them behind the stairs on the wall,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
And the
but
towels,
that is
the linen.
Because, like at our camp, it's Bill's been there. It's not much.
Yeah.
But we've got an enclosed patio that we completely redid, all for the reason of just that. We have hooks all along the freaking east wall.
Yep.
We have chairs, almost like cubbies for each guy that comes into camp. And the only problem is Joe.
Yeah.
Because
surprise.
Joe's always the problem. So Joe's freaking underwear will be on one chair, and his boots will be under another chair, and his jacket will be hung under the 5th chair.
And he didn't even go hunting.
Joe,
and he needs more room.
This one's mine, that one's Tim's, that one's Dan's, this one's yours, that one's. And he's, listen, they're all mine, all right. But it makes the entire hunting thing. When this is where you put your hunting stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're in the camp proper, and the kitchen and all of that, and
keep it
and
separate.
that stuff, because that stuff can just pile up.
Oh yeah,
all piles up.
Yeah,
it'll pile up.
Yep. What are we leaving out? I can't believe we've been at it this long, but we should look at wrapping up.
Yeah,
and, like you said, we could keep right on going. But
yeah,
I guess I would wrap up by saying, to anybody that's like looking for a vacation, just to get away, even if it's during summer, non-hunting, you want to come down for a little turkey hunt. and certainly the deer hunting. But I mean, first class. It's just gorgeous. Very, very, very comfortable. Well done place. Everything you need is here, and Sergei is awesome. Great guy. Property's beautiful. I cannot believe the deer sign I saw today. And I'm not talking just the deer I saw, but the deer sign.
Right.
It's just like somebody's got to come down there and help.
That's right.
Sergei kill some of these deer.
Thin out this
There's
population. That's right.
So hey, thank you for having us.
Yes,
appreciate it.
Yeah, and I
Appreciate
hope you do come back. You know, end of the
we'll
year,
be back
whatever.
at some point,
That would be awesome. Yeah,
it would be great. So thank you for having us.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Steve, thanks for breaking away, you busy sumbitch.
Yeah,
and making some time for us. And Al
Thanks
and
for
I
putting up with me this morning, Bill.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Al and I would stay for a couple more days, but we got grass to cut, so
got to cut.
It's going to be
I'm
3.
missing my every other.
You are. I think Albert's going to stay with me though for another
He might.
week.
You might not.
I'm hoping he does.
Albert might become a regular.
The one same guy in the bunch. You know what I mean?
Albert said he's going to Uber home.
That's right.
I kind of like it here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey. In the meantime, we'll keep feeding him. Al's going to cook us some sausage now. I think.
Feed him.
Feed him. See ya.